If effort has always felt heavy and the harder you try, the more life pushes back. If you've burned yourself out chasing love, success or purpose only to be left emptier than before. If people call you lazy when your soul is simply exhausted from fighting a world that never made sense. If you feel alien in a world obsessed with striving, hustling and becoming, while something deeper in you longs to simply be, it's not because you're broken, it's because your soul remembers a truth that peace doesn't come from control. That alignment is stronger than effort, that the path opens when you finally stop forcing it. You're not failing, you're already learning to trust what most people spend lifetimes trying to overpower. The backward law that frees you when you stop chasing and start allowing. How can I accomplish my deepest desires? Most people have been taught from childhood that success comes from effort, discipline, and relentless striving. However, hidden within ancient texts, guarded by mystical traditions and confirmed by the observations of modern psychology, lies a paradox that few dare to embrace. The harder you try, the more you push away what you seek. This is known as the paradox of effort, and understanding it is the first gateway to mastering the backward law. To begin, let us first consider what happens when a person wants something intensely. Whether it is the desire for love, financial abundance, health, or spiritual enlightenment, the energy of strong wanting creates a powerful emotional charge. This emotional charge, while natural, often becomes infused with anxiety, fear of failure, impatience, and mental tension. Psychologically, when the mind becomes obsessed with attaining a specific outcome, it creates a phenomenon known as performance anxiety. Instead of sharpening one's abilities, this anxiety clouds judgment, tightens the body, disturbs the breathing, and short-circuits intuition. In striving to win, one unintentionally makes winning more difficult. The British philosopher Alan Watts, who spent decades interpreting Zen Buddhism for Western audiences, explained this with stunning clarity. He observed that when people pursue happiness directly, they become miserable because the act of pursuing highlights the lack of happiness. Similarly, when someone chases after relaxation, they become tenser because they are trying to force a state that can only arise naturally. Watts concluded that genuine success in life often comes not from trying to force things, but from letting go and allowing them to unfold organically. This truth is not exclusive to philosophical speculation. It is deeply embedded in spiritual wisdom traditions. In ancient Buddhist writings, particularly those circulated among the secret monasteries of Ladakh and Tibet, monks were taught that intense striving for enlightenment was itself a barrier to enlightenment. A secret sutra states, "The mind that seeks is the mind that is blind. The eyes that close are the eyes that see." This ancient principle teaches that spiritual awakening, like many forms of achievement, arises when striving dissolves and pure presence remains. The effort to get there creates the illusion of distance when in truth there is nowhere to get to. Everything is already here. Modern psychology has discovered a parallel insight through the study of cognitive dissonance. When a person holds a strong desire for something while simultaneously experiencing the fear of not attaining it, the brain enters a stressful state of contradiction. This internal conflict consumes enormous mental energy, leading to exhaustion, procrastination, self-sabotage, and sometimes even total collapse of motivation. The person trapped in cognitive dissonance often feels cursed, wondering why their intense efforts seem to reap the opposite of their intended results. What they rarely realize is that the curse is self-created. It is the very act of grasping too tightly that causes the dream to slip away. From a spiritual perspective, there exists an even deeper explanation rooted in the law of energy resistance. This law states that whatever you resist persists. Whenever your soul emits a frequency of desperation, clinging, or fear, the universe mirrors that energy back to you. Thus, the more you vibrate in the energy of "I must have this or else I suffer," the more the universe conspires to keep you suffering. It is not punishment. It is resonance. Energy attracts energy of its kind. You are not denied because you are unworthy. You are denied because your vibration is broadcasting lack, and the universe is bound by ancient principles to return to you what you are broadcasting. The secret wisdom hidden in forbidden scrolls of the Essenes, ancient mystics who lived during the time of Christ, reveals an even more mystical view. They taught that desire, when inflamed by personal will, acts like a raging fire, consuming the soul's clarity and distorting the vision. However, when desire is cooled by trust and patience, it transforms into magnetic attraction, drawing the desired outcome naturally toward the seeker. In one of their surviving fragments it is written, "He who drinks from the cup of striving shall thirst forever. He who waits upon the waters of life shall find his thirst quenched before he asks." Thus, the deeper we look into psychology, philosophy, and spirituality, the more we discover a single immortal truth. Excessive effort and attachment create blockages, not blessings. The masters of old did not achieve greatness by strangling life with their ambitions. They flowed with the river of existence, moving with grace, patience, and inner stillness. Today, in our hyper-driven modern world, this wisdom is more necessary than ever. Society celebrates hustle culture, endless grinding, pushing, and forcing, without recognizing that true mastery and true fulfillment arise from the art of effortless alignment, not obsessive striving. The one who knows when to act and when to let go becomes like the archer who releases his arrow without strain, allowing it to fly straight and true. The first key to the backward law, therefore, is a simple yet profound truth. The less you grasp, the more you are given. The less you force, the more you flow. The less you try, the more you achieve. Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action, is the idea of accomplishing much by doing less. It might seem absurd to the modern mind, conditioned to believe that success demands relentless effort. Yet the masters of Taoism understood that true power does not arise from force, it arises from harmony. Wu Wei does not mean sitting passively and doing nothing. It means acting without unnecessary strain, without forcing, without grasping. It is an inner state where the mind is clear, the heart is open, and action springs forth as naturally as a bird flying or a tree growing. In Wu Wei, the distinction between the doer and the deed disappears. The action happens through you, not by you. Ancient Taoist masters would illustrate Wu Wei through the analogy of water. Water is soft and yielding, yet it overcomes the hardest obstacles. It does not resist the flow of life. It adapts, moves, and ultimately shapes mountains. It embodies power not through aggression, but through supreme flexibility and patience. A secret text found in the caves of Maoshan declares, "The wise man moves with the current, not against it. His strength is in his yielding, his triumph is in his humility." This mystical principle is not merely a beautiful metaphor. It has a scientific counterpart in modern times. Neuroscience has discovered the phenomenon of the flow state, a mental state in which a person becomes fully immersed in an activity with energized focus, full involvement, and deep enjoyment. In flow, the brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals, including dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins, enhancing creativity, problem-solving, and physical performance. Athletes, artists, writers, and inventors often report that their greatest achievements came not when they were trying harder, but when they were in the zone, when the work felt almost effortless. Flow cannot be forced. It arises naturally when certain conditions are met. A clear goal, immediate feedback, and a balance between skill and challenge. In these moments, the ego dissolves, the inner critic vanishes, and action unfolds spontaneously. This scientific discovery affirms what the Taoists intuited thousands of years ago. Effortless action is the secret of supreme achievement. As the Tao Te Ching states, when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. This enigmatic line means that when you cease fighting against life and begin to trust its unfolding, the right actions emerge naturally, and the desired results come to you with surprising ease. Thus, the second great key to mastering the backward law is revealed. By acting without forcing, you enter into the flow of life itself. You achieve more by doing less. You move further by standing still. You win by surrendering. Why is it that when we want something most desperately, it often eludes us? Why does the ardent wish for peace bring anxiety, the passionate longing for love bring loneliness, and the obsessive hunger for success breed failure? The answer lies hidden within a little-known but incredibly powerful principle known as the law of reversed effort. First articulated in the modern era by the French psychologist Émile Coué, and later expanded upon by thinkers such as Aldous Huxley. This law states simply the harder you consciously try to do something, the less likely you are to succeed, especially when emotions are involved. In psychological terms, human beings possess both a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. The conscious mind operates through willpower, intention, and focused effort. It says, "I will make this happen." However, the subconscious mind governs the vast majority of our behaviors, emotions, and physiological responses, and it does not respond well to force. Instead, it responds to imagery, belief, and feeling. When a person tries to impose their conscious will against a strong undercurrent of subconscious doubt, fear, or resistance, an inner battle is created. The more the conscious mind says, "I must relax," the more the subconscious mind hears, "I am not relaxed," and it reacts accordingly. Thus, the very effort to relax produces tension. The attempt to fall asleep produces wakefulness. The command to be confident triggers insecurity. The subconscious interprets the very effort as proof that the desired state is absent, and thus it reinforces that absence. Rumi says, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you." The law of reversed effort reveals why so many spiritual practices emphasize letting go rather than holding on, surrender rather than conquest, being rather than doing. The moment you stop demanding from life, you create a space for life to offer you gifts freely. The moment you release your tight grip, you allow the river of existence to carry you to places beyond your imagination. Thus, the third great key to the backward law is revealed. Why releasing desperate desire? You remove inner opposition. In letting go of the fight, you make space for fulfillment to arise naturally. In ceasing to struggle, you step into your greatest power. At the heart of the world's deepest mystical teachings lies a hidden force known as surrender, not weakness, but the highest form of intelligence. True surrender is the merging of the individual soul with the universal intelligence that governs all things, the force that spins planets, grows forests, and beats hearts effortlessly. When disconnected from this intelligence, life feels like struggle. But through surrender, the release of control, we align with the deeper flow of existence. Life then becomes a symphony, and we become both instrument and music. This truth is illuminated in the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna to renounce not action, but attachment to outcomes, performing duty with equanimity, the essence of yoga. In Himalayan monasteries, masters taught Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender to the Supreme Being. Here, the aspirant releases fear, desire, and ambition to become a vessel of grace, liberated from the burden of controlling life. Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom in radical acceptance. Healing begins not through resistance, but through compassionate acceptance of what is. Resistance binds, acceptance liberates. At a deeper level, surrender opens the door to miracles, unexpected blessings from the universe, far beyond anything willpower could force. In mystical Christianity, surrender to divine will is the path to grace, a power that heals and transforms beyond logic. As Meister Eckhart said, the soul must surrender itself entirely to God, and then it becomes God. Surrender isn't poetic idealism, it is metaphysical law. It moves you from ego to infinite consciousness, from fear to inspiration, from struggle to renewal. True power lies not in control, which was always an illusion, but in union with Source. When surrender is complete, life begins to cooperate. Doors open, allies arrive, intuitive insights flash, and even great challenges dissolve in divine timing. This is not childish magic, but the natural order finally flowing through an open soul. Thus, the fourth great key to the backward law is revealed. By surrendering your small will to the greater will, you unlock access to a field of intelligence, love, and power that far surpasses anything your mind could have imagined. In giving up the illusion of control, you gain the freedom to live a life of grace, flow, and true fulfillment. At the final stage of the spiritual path, beyond striving and surrender, lies the art of non-resistance. Not a method, but a state of being. When mastered, struggle ends and life becomes an ally. Resistance is the inner no to what is. Tension, judgment, fear, born of the ego's illusion that life must conform to its desires, it feeds and strengthens suffering. Like a Chinese finger trap, the more you resist, the more you are bound. Non-resistance is not defeat, but powerful allowing, meeting the moment without grasping or pushing away. It is alert surrender, a deep inner yes, trusting that each experience is part of a higher unseen order. Zen masters call this mushin, the mind without friction. The awakened one bows to joy and sorrow alike, recognizing both as expressions of the eternal. Similarly, Julian of Norwich saw through suffering to the deeper harmony beneath. All shall be well and all manner of things shall be well. Non-resistance does not mean inaction. It means acting from clarity, not compulsion. When the mind is still, right action flows like reflection from water, not reactive but true. In esoteric Egypt and Hermetic schools, initiates trained in inner balance, knowing only a soul free from resistance could channel higher forces. Even quantum physics suggests the observer shapes reality. Resistance breeds chaos. Acceptance brings coherence. The mystics were right. Your inner state shapes your world. Through non-resistance, you stop battling life and become its co-creator. Life begins to flow not because it changed, but because you did. The final luminous key to the backward law is thus revealed. By ceasing to resist life, you allow life to bless you. By embracing every moment with an open heart, you turn every challenge into a portal for growth, every sorrow into a doorway to joy, and every loss into a greater gain. You realize that life was never your enemy. It was always your secret ally, waiting for you to say yes.